Good afternoon and welcome to part 3 of our series this week on 1 Samuel chapter 16 verses 1 through 13. And if you haven't read the passage, I invite you to grab a Bible and to read through that passage. And if you don't have a Bible handy, pause the video, go to BibleGateway.com and type in 1 Samuel 16, 1 through 13, and then read through that passage. It's going to help you understand what we've been working through. And if you haven't seen the previous videos, you haven't read it, then I'll set the scene really quickly. Samuel's a prophet who anointed a king some time ago named Saul, but Saul's since been rejected. He's still on the throne, and God has called Samuel to now anoint a new king. So we don't know who this new king is yet. Samuel has arrived in the town where he's been led to go and has called together the family that he's been led to call together. And we know that of the sons of this man named Jesse, one of them will be king. And so the scene is set, and now the sons are going to be walking before Samuel until the Lord leads him to anoint one. And so it begins in verse 6 from the New Revised Standard Version. When they came, Samuel looked on Eliab and thought, "Surely the Lord's anointed is now before the Lord." But the Lord said to Samuel, "Do not look on his appearance or on the height of his stature, because I have rejected him. For the Lord does not see as mortals see. They look on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart." Some interesting things happening in this passage. There are these words that we see repeated again and again. Look and see. So on the surface, we see that Samuel looks upon Eliab and somehow determines that his appearance, his stature, make it, clear to him that this is who the king is. The funny thing is, just a few chapters prior, when Samuel looked at Saul, the same thing came to his mind. This must be the king. Something about Saul's outward appearance stuck out to Samuel. He seemed convinced. And here he's convinced again. And as Saul has been rejected, the Lord says, no, don't look upon his outward appearance, for he is rejected. And then he goes on to say, "For the Lord does not see as mortals see. They look on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart." Such a powerful passage, such a powerful moment when the Lord makes it clear to Samuel, you're just looking on the outside thinking you know. I see all the way through. I know. So if you just trust me, then we'll pick the right one this time. We all can identify with Samuel. This is what we do. We look. We look and think we know, whereas the Lord sees. We look at our own lives and our own selves, and we think we know ourselves. And we can even fool ourselves, can't we? We can judge ourselves unworthy or unfit based on things we did or said years ago or weeks ago or days ago, and we're holding ourselves accountable to things in our past. And so when the Lord comes to lead us, when an opportunity comes that the Lord has brought before us, we tend to say, no, it couldn't be me, because remember what I did, remember who I've been. And the Lord sees you so much differently than you see yourself. Even how you think you know yourself. And in the heart, in the Hebrew understanding, your heart is your character, your will, who you truly are. And we can have a better grasp of who we are than we can of other people because we know our intentions. But even then, we're operating out of those past pains from the things that we carry, the wounds. And so some of the intentions we have, we don't even realize they're actually reactions to things from our past. We come to see that later. I mean, we can look back a few years ago and see some of the decisions we made and realize we made that decision because of things that happened a few years prior to that. And so we're trying to heal as people. The word for healing in the Bible is salvation. And so we're trying to be healed of these things, to come to a place where we can be truthful and honest with ourselves and see correctly as the Lord wants us to see. But we don't do that. And we can look at ourselves as an example. We can look at people around us and think we know people based on what we're seeing with our eyes when we simply look. And God sees them in ways that we never will. And so sometimes people that we've known for a long time, family members, friends, we look at things they did in their past and we still assume they're that same person when we have no idea what they're going through. And that doesn't even mention strangers whom we have no recollection of a past, yet we still judge them based on how it looks from the outside. We can look at this in our government right now because everyone is picking apart this whole stimulus conversation. we're all, there's that one thing's happening, there's one reality occurring on Capitol Hill right now, yet by our looking, we have people all over the spectrum on what they're coming to judge about the situation. We all have vastly different and even opposing perspectives based on the one reality. It's because we're simply looking. We can't see exactly what's happening. Now, plenty of news outlets want to tell us they see, but they don't. And we can see it in the Methodist denomination, what's happening there, our conversation. It's the same thing, the same situation's happening, and yet we all have different perspectives because we're looking, we're not seeing. And sometimes we just have to sit back and say, I don't know that I'm ever going to be able to see this for what it is. I just have to trust that God will lead us amidst our blindness. And Samuel has that same challenge. Will Samuel let go? Will Samuel break from the routine of his past to allow God to decide who it is that's going to be king, even though they may not look the part? Are we going to let God lead us amidst today's decisions and troubles and situations? And as we look around the world, are we going to trust that God will lead and that trust other people to open up and let God lead? Or are we simply going to look because we think we know? Because has that really worked in the past? So I'm just as guilty. I do the same thing. So we're in this together. And I invite you to just say a prayer today, whatever the situation is that's on your mind, and just pray to God, God, help me to see as you see, and help me to get beyond my looking. And I think if we can get to that point and be honest, we'll start to realize a few things. One, we don't know as much as we think. And two, that's okay. That's okay. And maybe three, when it comes to our personal relationships ourselves, we may start to see things in a new light that leads us into new directions and a new truth and a new way to understand grace and mercy and love and these things that truly bring us healing and salvation. So I pray that you receive these things from God this day. And I pray that God be with you. Have a good day.